Hey guys, welcome to the channel. As you see in the thumbnail, what Issei left by Draig and become Kamen rider to destroy universe. Before I start, please do support for more awesome content, and subscribe my channel and like this video. To quote from Tsukasa Kadoya, I am just a Kamen rider passing by. Remember that. What pushes a man to his limits? Is it love, is it care, or is it trauma? The answer, it can be all depending on the situation. Issei Hayato, he was a simple boy, born in a very wrong family. A clan that had been producing mages and god-class wizards for a family that only provided with more prestige and strength as time passes by. The family went on for several centuries defending humanity from evil malicious yokai, and even gained the honor and prestige from the strongest. Being simple wasn't accepted in his clan. The day he was born, he was always met with scorn and hatred. Ever since he was identified to lack any magical resource, he was barely trained and cared for, while his two siblings gained all the love they could have gained. They were Max Hayato and Mia Hayato. Turns out, they were prodigies, as opposed to Issei. He looked at how he had been the black sheep of the family. He saw that they were showered with gifts and many prizes for their hard work and efforts. If they wanted to Disneyland, that was granted. If they wanted to go to any other location, that was granted. Their prowess was powerful and they would soon reach the level of gods if trained rightfully, and because of that, they became really arrogant. They lost their way and became condescending, heartless and downright evil. Issei remembered on how he was treated compared to them. They always got the new stuff and he always got the terrible things, his bed and linen. They were barely washed, and if it was washed in secret, since Issei never got the chance to do so. Since it was always thrown outside, primarily by Max and Mia, where his parents didn't even try to reprimand their behavior, and sometimes even actively encouraged it, since he was not even treated as a member and more or less a stain or servant. He got stale food. It was a miracle that he didn't fall sick so far, until he did, and it was a miracle that he survived the sickness, causing him to start defending himself. Things became so bad, causing him to steal the good food which they had. He succeeded in this for a while, till he was caught wind on. Needless to say, his so-called parents beat him to death after that, along with his siblings, even using magic to do so. That was when he realized one major thing: even if he died, there was no one that was going to cry for him. He had to do something. It was a matter of survival. Fortunately, the initial beatdown didn't deter him from stealing or doing actions meant for his survival. Despite the beatings, he was able to survive. At one point, he was able to seriously even injure Goro by getting a magic wand and shooting him in the groin, making him yelp in pain. He tried to escape the first time, and was freed. He got what he wanted, but at a heavy price. Upon his capture, his treatment worsened. He lost what he had aside from the traditional living requirements he had. He didn't get any access to the locations like kitchens or rooms that were meant for the others, so he was not going to get anything. He even lost what remaining things he had. But that didn't stop him from trying. He had the mindset of a survivor at a very young age, and knew that if he had to survive, he had to deal with his enemies. He tried to but couldn't even escape, since he tried to do so yet again. But his family, thanks to Max believing he cared for him, used to always force him back to this house. He was still years old. Outside, his life was as bad if not worse. His two siblings constantly spread rumors about him being a creep and disgusting, which caused his only friend Shido to turn away from him. Rumors and wordings were being spread about him, such as, "Issei's weird. Don't play with him, he's boring." It all started when his so-called siblings broke his toys and other equipment that the kids had and turned them against him by spreading lies. This was coupled with other rumors as well. He had been an outcast outside as well. There was no hope, or no one meant for him. It only became worse when things escalated to middle school, where rumors only worsened when they met two devils, Rias Gremery and Sona Citri. The two devils befriended them, but thanks to rumors, he had his life ruined even more. They saw what his siblings saw Issei as, nothing but a scapegoat, someone that would frame him and make his life miserable. He hated what was happening to him but was helpless in this case. The bullying only got worse. He was framed for breaking vases, tearing books or anything. He was the one that got framed and, as usual, beaten to death by a select bunch of bullies, including his two so-called siblings. He survived for an unknown reason. he didn't know why. It would be something that would change his life permanently. He remembered walking into class every morning, my stomach twisted in knots, knowing what was waiting for me. His desk would be scribbled with insults like loser, failure, trash. His bag would be stolen and emptied, his homework shredded. He'd get accused of cheating on tests he hadn't even taken yet. This was when he was enrolled in Ko Academy. The games they played started innocently, at least to an outsider. They'd accidentally spill water on him during lunch, or worse, some would even spill milk, or in very rare cases urine, hide his books so he'd get punished for losing them. Trick him into showing up to empty classrooms, where they'd laugh at my confusion and call him pathetic. Students and teachers used to say the following: "You're so dumb, Issei. Why can't you do anything right, you moron?" He tried to ignore this at first, and when it was too much, he informed his parents, and the response they gave was a getty. It was like they never cared for him, especially after the past incidents. "You're being dramatic, Issei. They're just playing." So he stayed quiet due to having no option. He swallowed it all, every insult, every laugh, every smirk that chipped away at my soul. At school, his classmates avoided him, treated him like a pariah and a stain. The rumors had already spread. He was lazy, weird, and useless. Teachers treated him like he didn't exist. When he raised my hand to answer a question, they ignored me. When he asked for help, they sighed like he was a burden. Or if unlucky, he was straight up ignored. Issei remembered pouring his all hard work and efforts into an exam, and when the results came, he had got his marks. It was a complete zero. When inquired the response he got, cheating wasn't tolerated. He tried to appeal but was rejected on the spot. Realizing the injustice he had to go through, he had given up. He was aware that this was his teachers who were influenced by Max and Mia to do this, and he understood that he had no place here. People started to speak behind his back as well. Issei cheated? It shouldn't be surprising. He's pathetic. Figures. He's too stupid to pass on his own. Giving up, he was barely passed and he eventually reached high school, where his real nightmare began. The first girl was kind, or so he thought. She smiled at me, said all the right things. For a moment, he felt like he mattered. He thought maybe, just maybe, things were changing. Then he found out she was dating me to get closer to my brother. "Sorry, Issei, but Max is just better than you." The second girl did the same. And the third. And the fourth. 10 times. 10 girls who pretended to love me, who used him, and tossed me aside like trash. Each time it happened, he felt myself break a little more. He stopped looking at mirrors because he couldn't stand the face staring back at me. A face nobody could love. He soon got his answer as well. Why would anyone choose you when they could have Max? Their words echoed in his head every night, as he lay alone in the dark. The more this happened, the more he started to cut and hurt myself, since he knew that nobody will care about me. So why bother? Even if he dies, they still won't bother. He couldn't escape it. Not at school. Not with friends. Not even at home. Home should have been his safe space. It wasn't. His parents adored Mia and Max. Their achievements decorated the walls. Their pictures filled the shelves. When he walked into a room, it was like he didn't exist. "Issei, why can't you be more like your siblings? You're such a disappointment." Even when he achieved something, he was always thrown into the dark, as they had spoken. "So that's it? What's so special in your achievements? Max did something better than you." He was tired. He didn't know what to do. He was tired of being hated only and not loved. He tried to make his parents happy, but they didn't seem to care. They didn't seem to bother or even look at him. When Mia and Max broke something, he was blamed. When they failed, he was scolded for not helping them. No matter what they did, he was the villain, and all they needed was an excuse. Soon enough, he had finally had an encounter with Draig, who was seemingly disappointed at his lack of powers. But Issei was used to it, and unlike the others, he treated him well for a while till he was with him. However, Draig's patience got the better of him, and when he found one of his old hosts alive, he asked Issei for his permission to leave. Since only Issei can grant him such a permission, and he had no intention to force Draig to be with him if he doesn't want to. In this world, the sacred gears have a mind of their own. If they wish to leave the host, they can do it, for any amount of reason. But they need their host's permission, and Issei gave just that. He didn't even bother convincing anyone. He had started to lose hope. He did just that, and granted him the permission to leave. Issei was bitter, but he agreed regardless, respecting Draig's choice. He was once again all alone. His life took a turn for the worse, when the family came to know about the supernatural courtesy of Rias Gremry and Sona Citri. Turns out Max had the dark gear which had the soul of Apophis, while Mia had the chaos talon that had the soul of Tiamat. They became even more arrogant, and used Issei as a test subject or dummy. He was beaten and tortured to death, and they laughed at his suffering and misery. They enjoyed it the most. Then came the time when several things happened after entering, like saving the nun named Asia from fallen angels, battle with Riser Phoenix to prevent the marriage of Rias, battle against Kokobile, and arrival of two exorcists from church named Irena, who was his ex-friend Shidu, and Zenobia, peace meeting of biblical factions, and the attack during meeting at the hands of Kateria Leviathan, who was the part of Kao's brigade, then going to Underworld during summer vacations and the meeting with Norse faction to join the alliance, then the attack of Loki. After all of that, they met with Serorg Bale, and Max had a fight with him which he lost in humiliating way. Then comes the time of Kyoto trip, which thankfully he was not part of, but how wrong he was, since he was sent to help them when the hero faction who wanted to use Yukai leader Yasaka to summon Great Red, which came out to be futile since they defeated them. Max lost consciousness when he fought against Cao Cao, the wielder of the strongest Longinus, the Holy Spear True Longinus, and the leader of the hero faction. He fought him and sent him away with the rest of the supernatural who barely tolerated his existence, and managed to save Yasaka, losing her life force, but Max got the credit as he claimed that he wanted to take advantage of Yasaka when she was weak, and he got more hate and was sent back to Ko, but not in one piece. He was beaten to death yet again. After that came the rating game between Bale and Gremry peerages, which Bale peerage won by landslide. During that time Rias and Sona graduated from the academy, and he was held back behind by the academy's corrupted system. Then came the battle in Romania and the revelation of RageRevan Levon Lucifer, the son of original Lucifer, who acquired the Sephiroth Grail from Valerie Teeps. Then the start of the Evil Dragon War, so on many more events to name, but the final one was all-out war between DXD Group and Clippeth and Beast of Apocalypse Trihexa. He may not have power, but Issei made the plans to defeat my opponents. He outsmarted them, but then again Max and Mia got the credit as they claimed that it was their ideas. Despite the trauma, there was still hope in his life. Someone saw that, and it was revealed to be Gabriel. She also didn't hate him because she saw my heart, and that he was never the bad person but my younger siblings. She saw how rotten their hearts were and refused to associate with them, much to the faction's chagrin. She was always there for him. She even talked in his mind during sleep. She had that ability to come into his dreams and talk. Issei, for the first time, felt at peace knowing he have someone who cares. But later on he had to beg them to treat him like others did in front of everyone, since he didn't want to lose the only people who cared about me. He had someone, an unlikely person who eventually became his friend. But everything was not good. Why? Cheers! Issei was watching on how they were celebrating the graduation of Max and Mia Hayadu. They all were enjoying it, and the reason being was that Vanillana Gremry, she being Max's mother-in-law as well as Ko Academy's current principal, pulled in some strings to make them graduate early. But for Issei, she made him sit back for another year. She did everything in her power to make him fail, and she succeeded. Like everyone else, she relished seeing him suffer. He stood in the shadows watching them live happily. As he continued to walk into the darkness, he remembered on how his parents always preferred his siblings over him every time. He could see their achievements still plastered on the screen. When it came to his own, it was not there. He still remembered that Max and Mia did better, so his didn't matter. That was what his parents told him. Eventually he left the home. The traumatic past was enough. He didn't want to stay in a place where he had no one to care for, or love. He wasn't cared for, so why did it matter? Soon enough, he snapped, remembering that if no one cares for him, why should he? He soon decided to take his revenge. He wanted to make them pay. He wanted to make them suffer. Consequences be damned. His anger unleashed massive mana releases that were triggered due to his past trauma. He remembered all the insults and humiliations he had to go through. Words of their insults and humiliations ran through his mind. You are a disappointment, Issei. Why can't you be like your siblings? Cheating is not allowed, Issei. Max is better than you, Issei. You seriously think I'll fall for a trash like you? What a joke! Off pervert because I castrate you. You deserve it for peeping on us and stealing our undergarments. I'll never fall for a perverted scum like you. You are not Max and never will. Max is better than you. Max is our only son. Max is the one son we are proud of. Max is the only brother I have. Issei soon heard the final whisper, something he detested with all of his. This is something you will never enjoy. Issei had unlocked his magic reserves and it was crackling. The aura reverberations were felt from miles away, with many supernatural panicking on who was responsible for such a power level, with many trying to scramble in order to save themselves or protect the town they were living on. I am tired of how I am treated. Max this. Max that. I will show them. I will show all of them. Starting from now. I will hunt them all down. They made my life miserable. Now it is my turn, Issei shouted, releasing even more of his magic. He wanted to rip Max apart, break him in front of everyone that saw him as their role model and their hero. He was about to head to kill all of them, torture and break them, but before he could, several chains bound him, imprisoning him completely. He was unable to move as he started to break them. He wanted to teach them a lesson. He was done tolerating them and being nice to them. He was going to destroy all of them. He soon heard a soothing voice. It's all right, I see. I am here. He turned around to see Gabriel flying down from the location. She was a young woman with long, flowing blonde hair and striking blue eyes. Her outfit is a detailed military-style uniform with a black and red color scheme, gold accents, and intricate embellishments. She wears a black peaked cap adorned with an insignia, a high-collar jacket with fur lining around the shoulders, and a form-fitting black dress with red and gold trim. The outfit also includes a belt with decorative chains, white gloves, and black thigh-high stockings with garter straps. She holds a sword or baton in her gloved hand, and the background suggests a naval or battleship setting. She holds a sword or baton in her gloved hand, and the background suggests a naval or battleship setting. She had worn her military uniform ready for war, in case she had to deal with a violent Issei who had gone berserk. Issei looked at her, and exclaimed, "Let go of me. I want to kill them." Gabriel could only look at him sadly. She should have taken him away from here a long time ago, and she then hugged him and responded, "It's all right, Issei." She used some of her magic to calm him down. As he turned to her and she continued, "I will take you far away from here. You will never be tormented ever again. I cherish you a lot, and I will stay with you for all eternity. That is something I promise you." He started to calm down, and asked with slight tears in her eyes, "Why? 'Cause I love you. You are the most pure-hearted being I have ever met. I never got to tell you this because I was afraid that you will never see me as such due to what you had gone through. That is why. Just follow me. I will take you far away from here." Gabriel spoke, as she was about to teleport, but before she could do so, something grabbed Issei and took him away. "Issei!" Gabriel grabbed his hand, and responded angrily, "I won't let you go." She was also consumed by what seemed to be a different dimension. The thing that took the two to a different location was none other than an aurora curtain. They had left in just a few seconds, and not long after several magic circles appeared from which many leaders came, and they were Surzek's Lucifer, Seraphal Leviathan, Azazel, Shemhaza, Barakiel, Odin, Zeus, Amaterasu, Are, Shiva and Indra. They all felt an evil aura around here, an extremely strong one. So, the APL immediately left to check on it. "Did everyone felt that evil aura here?" Surzek asked in serious voice as others nodded as Michael asked, "Which being is this powerful to release such level of ominous and strong aura that all of us had to arrive here to check on?" Azazel's usual laid-back demeanor changed into serious one and answered, "Trihexa." Everyone fell into eerie silence. "That's not possible. Max had already sealed Trihexa back into the seal which Rosweiss created." Seraphal spoke seriously as others nodded. "Then who could it be?" Amaterasu questioned as she frowned in deep thought. "Whoever it is, we had to be careful." Zeus spoke in utmost seriousness, at which others nodded and left. Scene change. Los Angeles, United States of America, AM. In an unknown location of the United States of America, Issei and Gabriel had landed from the Aurora Curtain. They looked around and wondered where they are, as someone spoke up. "I was honestly going to only bring the eldest Hayate kid, But it seems like the seraph decided to tail around, correct? A man spoke up, as another responded, "You can't help it, Tsukasa-san. From what we have been seeing, she is the only one that cared for him." The two looked to two people. The first individual is a man with brown hair, wearing a magenta polo with a striped blazer, black slacks, and leather shoes. He is Tsukasa Kadoya. And the other is a young man with brown hair as well, wearing a blue and red striped polo shirt, a pink jacket, gray Toby trousers, and maroon rubber shoes. He is Sugo Tokiwa. He is Sugo Tokiwa. A/N, from top to bottom, Tsukasa Kadoya and Sugo Tokiwa. Sugo walked to the two, and responded, "Sorry for bringing you two here, but we had to talk with you. We only intended to bring you, Issei, but it seems like Lady Gabriel also arrived with you." Issei was clearly confused. These two men decided to kidnap the two of them to another location entirely. Tsukasa, upon seeing this, responded, "Alright, seeing that he is confused, I might as well explain on why we decided to bring the two of you here. We both have seen you, Issei, and we see that you possess a massive amount of potential. Even more than what your so-called parents have seen." Issei looked at the two men for a moment and asked, "Why and how are you saying this?" "Because we both have been watching you for a while, and your magic reserves were always high. Hell, I firmly believe that it would easily surpass those two arrogant brats that you call siblings." Tsukasa bluntly responded, to which Sugo spoke, "I gotta agree, and it doesn't make it better that he is abused and mistreated at every step. They have no right to do that, especially with the fact they call themselves his parents." Gabriel was confused. How do these two human beings know about Issei so much, especially given the fact that he never met the two ever before, with the exception being meeting today. She looked at them and asked, "What do you two want with Issei? Are you here to hurt him like the others?" "Quite the contrary," Sugo responded while shaking his head, and spoke, "We won't hurt Issei. If anything, we have a proposition for you. In other words, it is your choice to accept it or not. 'Cause those factions won't take kindly to you hanging out with Issei." Tsukasa spoke bluntly, but with a serious tone, which made Gabriel understand on what the situation was like. As Issei turned to her and spoke, "That means, my brother Michael knows about our meetup. He is aware that I care for you and he hates that. Not to mention he has been forcing me to marry Max or become his lover, from a very long time even before knowing about us. That, coupled with the fact that he actively dislikes you due to lies made by those two, is making him even more fervent in getting me with him." Gabriel responded while controlling her anger, as Issei widened his eyes in shock and horror. He never tried to go after Gabriel in any manner, and his brother tried to place his hands on her, trying to turn her against him even more. Issei was starting to get angry at this. Why does he have to still continue suffering for no reason? He wanted to protect Gabriel from them. There was no way he was going to lose Gabriel too. That is why Tsukasa walked to him, and spoke, "We wish for you to become the Kamen Rider. To become the hero this world needs to combat the evils of this world." Tsukasa and Sugo knew that Kamen Riders don't have their existence in this world, not even in other universes where they are just a show and a product of Toei Animation. Additionally, they knew that they had to step in since when they heard of this world, they used Aurora Curtain to find out his past and felt anger at what he had gone through and decided to do something about it. They also saw this world and on how humanity was treated, and they had to do something about it. They saw his soul, and knew that he was the perfect person to become a Kamen Rider, and were aware that he needed something to defend himself, since the factions have a unique fetish of making his life miserable and breaking him. Kamen Rider? Issei asks with confusion before responding, "What are they?" Sugo speaks to him, "Instead of letting us explain, how about we show it to you?" Issei could only nod. He was confused of the term Kamen Rider, never hearing about it before, since they never existed in this world. Sugo looks over to Tsukasa as he snaps his fingers. From there, the four of them were no longer in Los Angeles but have now been transported to what appears to be a pocket dimension, where they are floating in space, and around them are planets, similar to that of Earth. They can be seen circling the three. This action surprised both Gabriel and Issei, but they soon regained their composure, now hearing Sugo explaining what the Kamen Riders are. Well, to give you a summary of what they are, Kamen Riders are heroes, given the power to fight evil, with them also possessing the same power as the Riders. They fight for justice and have a sense of duty to protect the worlds they call home. To fight for peace, for friendship, for justice, for love. And as long as someone believes in them, whether it be one person, the Kamen Riders will always come to lend a helping hand, to reach a hand out to those who cannot be saved. And no matter the obstacle or foe, they will always get back up. Sugo explained with a smile, as Issei and Gabriel continued to watch the riders fight against their enemies. As Gabriel asks, "Tsukasa-san, Sugo-san, what is that fruit-themed hero?" Sugo looks at her and explains to her, "That is Kamen Rider Game. His real name is Kudakazaraba. It is more in line with the biblical mythology that you are a part of, as well as referencing the Helheim forest, which is in line with Helheim of the Norse pantheon, although the worlds are completely different as opposed to yours." Here, the young man finds a special lock seed and the Sengoku driver to become an armored rider, named Armored Rider Game. He must fight the sudden appearance of the Indies, but also against the armored Kamen riders known as Armored Riders, effectively becoming a Sengoku period-like conflict for only one victor to prove themselves that they have the right to possess the power of the Helheim forest, the proverbial forbidden fruit. But while adamant to obtain the golden fruit to save the world, Kuda's goal involves him having a predestined confrontation with Kaido, who desires the fruit's power to shatter the status quo of the world. They also have the man of the beginning and the woman of the beginning. Gabriel nodded. She could see the concept of the golden fruit as well as man and woman of the beginning of this world. She was curious on what more this world is like. Issei then looks at a certain fox rider with interest, before his attention turns to a gaming rider. While that was happening, Tsukasa gave Sugo a look conveying that he was right, showing themselves to Issei when he has someone that he cares for, which is better than doing it in the moment he loses everything. And another factor is, Issei wants to get strong no matter what, and can easily be persuaded given the situation since his only desire is to protect those he loves and cares for. So with this method, him gaining the powers at this situation, Issei can grow stronger and be able to master the power in no time. Knowing how many supernatural beings, especially the Gremory family and Hayate family, will do anything in their power to acquire what Issei will have. Tsukasa then looked at Issei's curious nature and spoke, "I will explain you all the riders, but only if you accept the deal and become one in the future." Sugo looked at Issei and explained, "You need to one day combat the evil of this world that is pestering it since a long time. The world of the supernatural that you once helped is only going to get worse. Humans and other supernatural beings will continue to suffer. That is why, in order to protect what people you deem as friends and even any people you will have in the future." Gabriel knew this to be true. The supernatural world had its fair share of skeletons, but she was starting to see it was getting worse and worse. What Sugo said was true, as Tsukasa responded. "That is why, you will need to fight, for his sake, and for your girl's sake," Tsukasa bluntly spoke, causing Issei to have a slightly red tint, while Gabriel was turning her head away blushing. Sugo soon responds, "That is true, she was the only one that didn't hate you and always cared for you, more than anyone else." "Why yeah, well," Issei responded, as he continued, "It is not what you think, true, we are just what." Gabriel turned her gaze away, causing Tsukasa and Sugo to understand that the two have developed feelings for each other, and now all that remains was a proper and hearty confession. "Anyways, what is it going to be?" Tsukasa asked, to which he continued, "We are not forcing you, you can still be a hero. Her hero, and the destroyer to all those that wish to harm her. You wanted to get back at them, don't you?" Issei couldn't help but be angered remembering his past, as Gabriel held his hand, assuring that she would be here for him no matter what. She was not going to beside Michael and his brothers who will wish to control her even now. "I do. I want to get back at them," Sugo then responded. "Then do so. You living your life with her will be something that would be called, well, you know." Sugo turned to Tsukasa, which caused the destroyer of worlds to sigh and speak, "Kick in the balls?" "Yeah, that," Sugo responded, causing Gabriel and Issei to nod in agreement. As Issei gave a nod, with Sugo asking, "So what will you do, Issei? Will you accept our proposal and become a Kamen rider?" Issei and Gabriel looked at each other, as Issei speaks, "Yes, but will Gabriel become a rider too?" "It's her choice," Tsukasa spoke, as he responded, "Well, we will be taking our leave. Tomorrow morning we will continue this discuss. See ya." "Bye, Issei." "Bye, Gabriel," Sugo spoke with a smile, as the Aurora curtain took them both inside away from the location. The dimensions returned to normal with Issei and Gabriel being all alone in a different country. As Issei turned to her and asked, "Gabriel, what now?" "We live a different life," Gabriel responded, as she looked gloomy and responded, "I came for you when I sensed your power. I feared the worst and I feared losing you." Issei could see tears in Gabriel's eyes as he crouched up to her and pulled her towards him. He didn't know why, but he did feel a connection towards her. As she responded with all of her heart, she decided to not hold anything back in any manner. "I really love you, Issei. I wanted to confess to you for a long time, but I feared on how they would react to, given the fact that I am the most beautiful seraph and one of the most beautiful women in heaven. I knew the factions would have done something terrible to you given this, and you didn't even possess anything. Not to mention you never saw me as a seraph or cared for me due to my position, you cared for me as a true friend. You always cherished me, regardless of what happened." Issei was dumbfounded. He never knew that Gabriel loved him. He knew that she enjoyed talking to him, but love was something he wouldn't go for given how many girls used him to get to his brother. He then spoke, "Why me? Won't you use me to get to my brother?" Gabriel knew why Issei said this, but she spoke in response, "If I betray you, I will become a fallen angel, since an angel like me cannot fall without betraying you. If you do see my wings turn gray during my confession, then you can understand that I am lying to you." Gabriel's wings were glowing, but much to their surprise, it was a bright golden color which only Archangel Michael had the glow. She looked at Issei in surprise even more, since she had told him about the heaven system and on how modifications to it has yet to be made to allow angels to commit certain sins. It would at least take some years to do so. "I am an archangel?" Gabriel muttered in shock. She was not expecting this to be true. As she looked at him and spoke, "Have faith in me, 'cause you mean everything to me. Just give me a chance in this relationship of ours, and I promise you, you will be happy and cared for by my side." Gabriel responded with a smile, as she kept her hand on him. Issei didn't know why, but he trusted her, as he then spoke, "Then don't resist me." Gabriel understood this, as she spoke with a smile, "I trust you, Issei, more than anyone else." Issei held her by the chin and the duo made out, and started to French him. She only had unconditional love for Issei, and this the love was meant for being a lover. Issei held her by the chin and the duo made out, and started to French him. She only had unconditional love for Issei, and this the love was meant for being a lover. A/N. I don't own this GIF or Snow White with red hair. After a while, they had split up, as she spoke with a slight blush, "So this is what a French was called? That was my first." "True, even for me." Gabriel was surprised, and responded, "You never." Issei shook his head and spoke, "No, I didn't even come close to them. Ing was a far cry." Gabriel, "You were also my first." Gabriel gave a nod, as she spoke, "We have our whole lives ahead of us. You want to come with me?" "Sure." Issei gave a smile, which was more brighter than ever before. Gabriel hides her wings in halo, as they headed into their house. Issei had booked a hotel room for the day, as they decided to sleep for the day. Issei was about to wrap her hands but stopped in the middle only for Gabriel to place it on her, as she pulled herself towards him and held him tightly like a koala. Issei sighed and accepted her feelings. He had some trust issues, but he decided to give her a chance, since he was starting to have faith in her even more. Scene change. 6th Heaven, Heaven AM. Michael returned from the meeting. He was not happy with a reason in the past. He hasn't found Gabriel, and she has been gone for a while. He thought of the time when she had lashed out at him, when he had a talk about getting with Max. She wasn't interested in love or care, and she left the room. Just the mere name of Max is enough to make her scowl. He knew that the love part is a lie, since he had seen that how close Gabriel was with Issei, the boy he hated so much. He don't want his sister to be with a scum like Issei who will take advantage of her, as even Max had said that Issei had even raped women in past, and how Max had showed him the dot proof and him later showing it to Gabriel, who didn't believe this and told Michael that if he continued to press something on her that she don't like, or the way he accused Issei, then she will leave the heaven for good and permanently. He clenched his fists angrily, but then, Lord Michael! Michael was brought out of his thoughts as someone called him. He looked forwards to see a beautiful woman, a beautiful blonde-haired woman with blue eyes wearing a knight armor. She was Roxy Hart, the ace of Gabriel. "What's wrong, Roxy?" he asked her curiously, since it is uncommon for her to be this worried. Lady Gabriel is nowhere to be found, she spoke frantically and worried, which shocked Michael. What? When did this happen? He exclaimed, worried as he pressed for more information. I don't know. I was with Griselda, and that was when we saw her last time, and she didn't come back since then. And not only that, we find this in her office. She handed him a piece of paper which he took and read it, and his face changed into horror as he urgently ordered Roxy. Roxy, fast! Get in touch with other leaders, we have to do something about this. Roxy nodded and immediately went off to Griselda. Issei Hayato, I'll make you pay for this, he thought furiously as he also left to call his brothers and tell them about this. Scene change. Max's room, Hayato residence, Ko, Japan, PM. Max reclined in his dimly lit room, the dim light casting long shadows on the ornate walls. His harem surrounded him, most of them asleep after another night where he indulged in his desires. All of them were naked. The smug satisfaction on his face twisted as he glanced over the sleeping women. They were his trophies, proof of his superiority. Yet even in his triumph, an ugly thought clawed at the edges of his mind. He sneered, his fingers gripping the armrest of his chair as Apophis's voice echoed in his head once again. You're pathetic, Max Hayato. The dragon spat, its disdain dripping from every word. Shut your damn mouth. Max growled under his breath. He stood abruptly, his muscles tense, as he turned to look out the window. Apophis's laughter rang louder. You're nothing but a parasite. Your so-called achievements? They belong to someone else. You've stolen your brother's life, his efforts, and his dignity, all to inflate your pathetic ego. Without Issei, you're nothing. Max's hand curled into a fist, his nails digging into his palm. I built this life. I'm the one who deserves it. Issei's just a failure. A stain. He never had what it takes to stand where I do. The dragon's voice grew darker, however there was a tinge of mockery in it. And yet, despite all your lies, you fear him. Don't you, Max? You know deep down that he's better than you. Stronger than you. You see it in every one of his sacrifices, every one of his accomplishments that you've claimed as your own. I said shut up. Max shouted, slamming his fist against the wall. The sudden noise startled several of the sleeping women, but they quickly settled, used to his outbursts. Apophis's voice was unrelenting. You think Gabriel will fall for your lies? You're delusional. She sees you for the fraud you are, just like Tiamat sees Mia. And soon enough, the rest of the world will see it too. Mark my words, boy, your time is running out. I can hope that Issei crushes you like the pathetic insect you really are. Max's breathing was ragged as he struggled to calm himself. He glared at the empty space in front of him, as if he could burn Apophis's presence away with sheer force of will. I don't care what you think, Max muttered, his voice low and venomous. Gabriel will be mine. I'll break her down if I have to. Just like I broke Issei. Just like I've broken everyone else. Good luck with that brat. When I free myself from these seals, and I know and then I'll reveal everything to the world and will laugh at your face. Apophis's voice faded into the gear with malicious laugh, making him feel dread. Max shook his head and returned back to normal, as he headed back to his bed and turned to Rias, who had just woken up, as she asked, what happened? Nothing much, Max spoke with a smile, as he held Rias's naked body and pulled it to herself, with them soon making out with no shame. Rias showed no resistance, nor she cared that she was the heiress of the Gremory clan. She was just a slut in bed with Max. So wanna go another round? Max asked, to which Rias nodded, and spoke with a happier smile, yes, I would live to. Well then, let's go. They continued to have their night of passion, enjoying their night out. Max internally laughed, seeing on how he basically had everything while Issei didn't, as Apophis only turned away. He was waiting for the right time for exposing this man completely, and his whole family falling into ruin, seeing that they got reincarnated into the wrong people. Years later, Issei's house, Los Angeles, United States of America, PM. Years have passed since his initial meeting with Tsukasa Kadoya and Sugo Tokiwa, where he agreed to become this world's Kamen Rider, and heir to the power of the Kamen Riders in this world. He had settled down with Gabriel, their love blossoming, and he eventually decided to propose to her, thus marrying her soon enough. Their marriage was not attended by many, except a small bunch, but that was enough for them. Even Tsukasa and Sugo took their time to come along with some of their friends. After which, they decided to live peacefully in Los Angeles, buying themselves a mansion to live in far away from civilization. Thanks to the money they both managed to gain using the abilities they were trained thanks to Tsukasa and Sugo wasting no effort in doing so. The reason Issei managed to beat his enemies early on like Chow Chow and many others was not only due to his budding magic strength but also due to his ability to use aurora curtains, being one of the rare individuals to do so. Due to this, Tsukasa knew that Issei may suffer amnesia if not properly trained in them. Hence he even trained them in this regard. Both mentors pushed Issei to his limits and trained him even further, with Tsukasa being the harsher one, but he was glad to have them as his mentors since the clan and the factions didn't even bother to help or care for him. Issei changed his name from Issei Hayato to Issei Tokiwa upon Sugo's request, who was more approving of the surname, although Tsukasa seemed a bit annoyed by Issei not using his last name. But Issei convinced him that at a later date he may consider it. As for Gabriel, he had settled down with her, with she also taking up Tokiwa as her last name, and they had a small child together, known as Reiha Tokiwa. Reiha was described to be a blonde-haired child with short hair. She was sleeping in his room. "She's so beautiful. She's so beautiful." Issei tapped her cheek once but gently, as she started to move, with Issei placing his finger on her hand, and she closed her hands grabbing his finger. He smiled seeing this, as he spoke, "You will grow up to be a fine woman, but for now rest, my baby girl." Reiha dozed off in a deep sleep. And when her grip loosened, he gently removed his finger, and walked to the door and put off the light switches, as he spoke, "Good night, my baby girl." He soon gently closed the door, making no sound, as he walked outside the room, with someone calling out, "Doting on your little girl, I presume?" He turned to see Gabriel, who had thrown her military suit away and also agreed to settle down with him. She had worn a modernized, stylish version of a traditional Japanese kimono. The kimono is gray with a subtle checkered pattern and delicate white floral accents, worn off the shoulders in a contemporary, fashionable twist. It's paired with a striking red and gold obi belt tied with a decorative red string and white detail. Instead of a traditional kimono bottom, she wears sleek black pants. Issei turned to her with a smile, and spoke, "Ah, is someone jealous?" Gabriel shook her head, and walked to him. She then wrapped her arms around him speaking, "Maybe. But I also want to spend some time with my husband." "Well, if that is the case," Issei soon lifted her up in a bridal manner. With her gasping with a tone of surprise, she soon had a small blush, as he spoke, "We should probably head to bed, and have fun." The two remembered on how they were able to use the rider belts and other devices to henshin into riders. Both Gabriel and Issei can become Kamen riders, but it is Issei that prefers to become one, while Gabriel is content with her powers. The reason they can use them, it is because of being injected with something called as rider gene, courtesy of Tsukasa Kadoya and Sugo Tokiwa, which changed their body structure to make them compatible with any rider device, driver or anything else that they use to henshin. This allowed their body to use the drivers without any problems. For instance, they aren't prevented from using the gamer driver and gas hats without being denied access to using one. Another case is when they use the build driver and the full bottles, where they need to have a certain hazard level and genetic alteration to even use it, otherwise it won't work. The rider gene circumvents that and counters this side effect or incompatibility with the drivers. The couple soon headed towards the bed, but as they opened the door, they sensed a presence which shocked them completely. Gabriel then spoke with fear, "Don't tell me they found us?" "I guess, we managed to keep them away for years. We always feared that this day would come." Issei responded, to which he turned to Gabriel and spoke, "Head to Reiha's room and use a barrier spell, protect her at all costs." "You needn't tell me twice about that." Issei put Gabriel down and rushed inside her room to protect her. Issei looked at this, taking a deep breath, as he decided to show them what he is truly capable of. "It's time to show you the power of Kamen riders." Issei brought out the ZQ driver, as he was ready to show them what he is capable of. He had his ride watches in his pocket, and knew what he had to do. He had to protect his family, and he will do so at all costs. He had his ride watches in his pocket, and knew what he had to do. He had to protect his family, and he will do so at all costs. Issei looked at the enemies who had arrived. They were comprised of the faction leaders from the biblical factions, small part of their armies, and of course, Max and the Gremory and Citri peerage, the latter having Mia. Max then demanded, "Where is she, Gabriel?" Far away, Max, what are you all doing here? Issei asked gently. He was ready to fight them at all costs to protect those that he cares about. We are taking her from here, whether you like it or not, Max responded. As Rias added, Gabriel belongs to the factions, we are going to take it from her. Make me, bitch! Issei scowled, which made Rias annoyed by his behavior, as Max stepped forward and responded, gladly. Issei brought out the Zika driver, and activated it, as an announcement took place. Zika driver! He placed it on his waist, with some of the factions mocking him like Akino speaking, Era, you really think you can beat us? Doesn't look like I have a choice, Issei responded, bringing out the Zio Rai watch. He turned it, with another announcement happening. Zio, you will surrender, whether you like it or not. Kaneko spoke emotionlessly, with Issei not responding, as he placed it on the ride watch, inserting it into the D slot before pressing the ride on Ruser. Issei summons a giant analog clock as he transforms, it spinning and pointing at, and to make up the antennae, the katakana appearing as multiple watch bands form around him. He then announces, Henshin. He turns the driver degrees clockwise, and an announcement taking place. Rider time. Issei soon forms the armor, and it is placed on Issei, as a final announcement takes place. Kamen Rider Zio. Issei had transformed into Kamen Rider Zio. He was ready to fight his opponents. So you think just cause you have changed your armor, you really think you can win? Max demanded, as he lunged at Issei, only for him to dodge and kick him in the stomach, making him cough up. He tried to ambush him several times, with striking several times, with Issei responding. Seeking Jurade, he brought out his saber and clashed against him, even keeping up with him. Training with Sugo and Tsukasa trained him even further. He tried to strike Max, who used his gear to defend, blade sparks flying from one side to another. He struck him in the chest, sending him flying, dazing him for a while, but before he could finish him, a barrage of projectiles struck him, forcing him to evade. He could see it was the Gremry Peerage and Citri Peerage attacking him. Sona then asked, He is stronger than I remember, how can this be? It matters not, we will crush him, like we always did. Rias responded with indifference, as she vowed to crush any spirit that Issei had present in him. I would think otherwise. Gremry Hor. Issei leaped in the air, dodging the attack, as he brought out the build ride watch and turned it clockwise. An announcement following suit. Build. Issei inserts it into the D slot of the Zika driver, and repeats the same procedure with an announcement playing. Rider time. Kamen Rider Zio. A full bottle is summoned in front of Issei, blocking the attacks, much to their anger. Rias was even more furious at this, as she gritted her teeth in fury. The full bottle forms into the build armor, as it soon breaks down with an announcement playing with an electronic beat in the background. Armor time. The armor slams into Issei, forming the build armor, with another announcement being played. Best match. Build. Issei had transformed into his first ride armor, Kamen Rider Zio, build armor. This annoyed Rias and her peerage, coupled with the insult that was made prior, as Akino decided to fly above and raise her hand, unleashing a powerful voltage of electricity, speaking, Era, you should have surrendered when you still can. Akino's attack struck the build armor, but Issei leaped in the air, and brought out the drill crusher. He soon slashed her in the stomach, making her groan in pain, and he did so multiple times to make the sadomasochist feel true pain. Akino glared at him, but before she could do anything, Issei decided to end this fight by grabbing her and throwing her to the ground. The blow was enough to make her groan in pain. This shocked everyone, with Rias exclaiming with shock, Akino! Kaneko dashed forward and tried to punch him, only for Issei to use the tank full-body side to block her attack with his hands and landed a brutal headbutt, sending her groaning in pain. He soon landed a high kick aimed at her ribs, making her cough up blood, but he grabbed her to prevent her from escaping, as she yelped in pain. Issei knew Kaneko used to beat him every single time due to lies, even breaking his bones, and sometimes even unfortunately kicking him in the balls. The reason of her strength was due to the rook piece already enhancing what she was already capable of, and with her training, he continued to land several blows with the intention of breaking every bone in her body. He wanted to teach a lesson for ever coming here. She kept yelping and crying with pain, since Issei primarily used the tank full bottle to punish her even more. He soon kicked her, sending her flying. She was groaning in pain, As he turned to Max, who had charged at him in his balance breaker, he tried his luck again with him using Ascalon to try and slash him, with Issei countering his blows with the drill crusher, sparks flying from every clash, with Max trying to slide and ambush him from behind. He tried to ambush him only for the attack to be blocked with ease. As Issei spoke, "You've always been a pain," Max, Issei said through gritted teeth. "But today this ends?" Max laughed, pushing Issei back with brute force. "You're delusional, big brother. You'll never be anything but a failure." Issei's eyes burned with determination as he steadied himself. "And yet, here you are trying to play the measuring contest, proving yourself to be the successful one. Why? 'Cause you are scared of me, Maxie. You've always been scared of me fighting back." This made Max angry, since he called his name in a mocking manner. He hated that Issei looks down on him, and in his anger, he blindly charged at him, but Issei soon slashed him in the gut, sending him to the ground. He groaned in pain. He soon slashed him in the cheek, and decided to break some of his armor with the tank side of his armor. He continued to break some more shred of his armor, ruining it, and showing his face to everyone with Apophis gleefully mocking him. "Oh, that's great. I don't know how you gained the power to do it. But please continue, show this more on his place." Apophis mocked him, which made Max even more angrier, as he tried to attack Issei in response, who only blocked it with the drill crusher. "I grow tired of this." Issei kicked him in the stomach, and kicked him towards the Gremory Peerage, as Irina, Zenobia and Kiba all decided to ambush him at once, only for Issei to strike the two in the gut, making them scream and stabbing Irina fatally in the stomach, making her cough up blood. He was fast enough to do this, as he soon leaped in the air. "Irina!" Zenobia and Asia shouted, as Asia and Ravel were healing those that were badly injured by Issei's build armor strikes, and they used their sacred gear and phoenix tears to do so. Zenobia once again tried to lunge at him, only for Issei to slash her near the eye, making her screech in pain. Issei had to deal with the healers. As he knew they will continue to fight, he decided to take them out of the picture right away. Issei presses the ride on starter on any ride watches inserted into the Zika driver before pressing the ride on Ruser and rotating the Zika circular degrees. An announcement follows. Finish time. Build. He leaps in the air, and performs his first rider kick against the factions. He soon shakes his hand, creating several formulas confusing everyone, starts the finisher with an announcement following. Vortex time break. He uses a variation of the vortex finish that has the energy chart occupy a straight line. He slides on Asia and Ravel, who are healing Kaneko along with the others. The girls try to escape by using their wings, but it is too late, as he slashes and stabs the enemy several times with the drill crusher. Zenobia and Kiba were caught in collateral, taking them out of the picture as well. The two scream in pain, triggering an explosion, as they soon were sent flying from the explosion, groaning and crying in pain. Issei soon lands on the ground and speaks. "How pathetic, you really thought you could beat me? In the 5 years, none of you have improved even a bit." Rias was gritting her teeth in anger. She hated that Issei had become stronger, with the leaders looking in shock. They were not expecting Issei to become this strong in the future, and they thought of him as a mere weakling that could get bullied. "Now then, do you wish to continue?" Issei spoke with a cold tone, as they all got annoyed by his attitude. With Surzex responding with anger, he floated in the air, his presence suffocating with the pressure. But Issei was not affected. He did deal with Sugo's strongest form, and the pressure it emanated. "You fought well, Issei," Surzex said, his tone cold. He didn't interfere, believing they could do so. "But it's time to end this charade. Surrender now, and we may grant you a quick death." Issei stood defiant to them. He knew that they will only learn the hard way. "If you think I'll surrender to trash like you, you're as delusional. Then again, I was not expecting much." Rias stepped forward, her hands crackling with destructive magic. "You've brought this on yourself, Issei. You're an embarrassment to everyone who ever tried to give you a chance." "Embarrassment, just like you? Standing there and watching your peerage do your dirty work? I mean, you haven't even moved from that place, and here you are calling me an embarrassment. What work have you done aside from sucking Max's mini-max?" Issei spoke mockingly, making her embarrassed and furious at this attitude. She was ready to attack him yet again. But Issei decided to separately put her in her place. Surzex and many others were also furious at this. given how much they hated Issei due to Max at this point. Issei soon decided to switch armors and decided to play a game with them. He brought out the second ride watch, which was the X8 ride watch. As he rotated it, and it announced X8, he removed the build ride watch and placed it, as the factions decided to ambush him with Azazel shouting, "Don't let him change." Too late, Crow. Issei turned the Zika driver clockwise, repeating the same procedure. This time it only did half of the announcement with a retro-themed music being played in the background. Armor time! The X8 armor formed as Issei kicked it towards the factions, forcing them to defend using barriers. The armor soon went back to Issei, and forming the X8 armor replacing the build armor. A final announcement plays. Level up! X8! Issei had transformed into Kamen Rider Zeo, X8 armor, with no continues. I feel like I can clear this game. Issei exclaimed, as Michael demanded, You think this is a game? You have defied the will of the heaven. Now perish! Chocolate blocks were formed surrounding the battlefield. These were from the game Mighty Action X, a game X8 is based on. Michael and some angels were ready to unleash some light spears, to which Issei spoke, Oh, shut it, Mousy. You sound like those Ark Clan fanatics I have been reading recently on Wattpad. Michael was getting angered by this, as he commanded the light attacks to be aimed at them, but Issei managed to evade them by leaping around the chocolate blocks. He knew that his speed was less than the build armor, but his physical strength was far stronger than the build armor. He dodged the light attacks, spears, lassos and other attacks like nothing, while Azazel watched with amusement. He knew when he had to strike. All they had to do was either subdue him before they can kill him, and take Gabriel by force. He saw Issei close the gap onto one angel, and with a quick jab, he strikes him twice. The kanji for hit being shown on impact, translating to Hito. He sends one flying, knocking him out, as he turns his attention to the female seraph who tried to attack him even more. He soon strikes her multiple times, each time displaying a kanji of a hit on every strike, making her screech in pain. No, Sandalphon! Michael shouted as he desperately tried to defend her ally, as he leaped in the air and tried to kill Issei, but before he could do so, he kicked Sandalphon in the air and landed a final hit, knocking her out cold. He turned to Michael and blocked his hands and broke the saber out of his hand. Michael tried to overpower him, but he was unable to. X8 specialized in strength while sacrificing the speed in response, but the difference was marginal, yet it could make a difference in combat. Impossible! Michael exclaimed, as Issei soon decided to do something and break his arms, snapping them upon impact. Aha! Michael shouted in pain. As Issei kicked him in the stomach, he decided to end this, seeing him huddled near his army. He soon pressed the ride on starter yet again, and repeated the process like he did for build armor. Finish time! X8! A prelude screen forms between Issei and the angelic faction, as an announcement takes place. Critical time break. Issei tosses the prelude screen to the air before pounding the ground with the Gashikon breakers to send the enemy flying, with all angels being forced up in the air while the fallen angels and Serzex protect their faction members as they try to save the angels, but it is too late. Issei then tosses the fake prelude screen's bar, smashing the green prelude screen on Michael, making him screech, and the rest on the angels, damaging them, making them groan in pain, and soon rushes through the katakana that make critical time break for a flurry of punches that project the attack names kana within each hit. An explosion soon takes place, making them scream in pain. When the dust settled, it was revealed Michael badly injured with several of his wings torn off due to getting struck by the prelude screen and the constant punches that were landed on them. Seeing this, Rias and the others were shocked. The fact that Issei managed to beat one faction single-handedly was really shocking, especially for a weakling like Issei. We need to take him out, now! Serzex exclaimed, as he decided to enter the field. With Azazel speaking, Vala team is arriving soon, she would be able to hold him off. Serzex joined the fight. Knowing he had to eliminate him, he unleashed a ruin of extinction on him with it, trying to destroy Issei, but he responded by moving out of the way and deflecting the orb and heading it straight to Rias, akin to X8 straight up punting the orb, hurling it towards Rias, making her scream in pain upon contact. Serzex immediately tried to stop the attack, but Issei did not let that happen. He struck him in the shin, making him lose focus and strike multiple times. each time displaying a hit kanji upon impact, with many seeing the Satan Lucifer being beaten annoying him to no ends. Once he was distracted, he pushed back Issei with his aura, angered by him as he shouts, "You dare strike a demon king? You shall pay for your insolence, false demon king! You were never a true demon king, just a power-hungry Baal sitting on the throne not meant for you," Issei declares, making Draig even more angry. But before he could respond, a scream was heard, which was revealed to be Rias, as he turned to her in shock and managed to dispel the power of destruction, but it was too late. The damage was done, and she was crying in pain. "Rias!" Draig shouted, rushing to her, as Issei was soon struck by a magic beam blast, making him surprised. This triggered an explosion. Azazel sighed in relief, turning to the person that had attacked him. It was none other than Valerie and her team that had arrived at the nick of time, buying them some time. "A little bit late, don't you think, Valerie?" Valerie scoffed, speaking, "This damage is quite a lot. Did that perverted rapist really do this?" Kuroka looked at her sister's state, and was furious at what Issei did to her. She was going to make him regret ever being born. "Yep, and he is stronger than you realize, and be careful," Valerie nodded. But before she could react, a punch slammed her, with a kanji of hit striking her, sending her flying. Issei was effortlessly taking down his enemies one by one. Everyone was shocked by this, as Issei spoke. "How cowardly? Then again, I shouldn't expect much from you, Val-chan." Issei spoke the last part mockingly, as he brought out the Force Ride Watch, and was being surrounded by the Citri Peerage and the rest of the Valley team. He soon turned the ride watch clockwise, and an announcement played. "Force, attack him now, before he changes into his next form!" Azazel exclaimed, as everyone joined in trying to defeat him before he could do anything. Even Valerie managed to recover, shocked by the fact that some of her armor was destroyed. Kuroka used her flames, Arthur and Biko charged in, Lefei used her spells, and Fenrir was ready to chomp him. The Citri Peerage used their spells, and Genshiro used Vitra to attack, with even Mia joining in using her sacred gear flames to fight against her brother. But Issei only leaped in the air, removing the ride watch of X8 and replacing it with the Force Ride Watch, as he repeats the process of armor change, and an announcement plays. "Armor time!" A giant astro switch arrives, and transforms into a rocket, and starts striking several of the fallen angels, killing them, exploding them into feathers due to the damage, and the rocket or astro switch soon breaks down into armor. A final announcement plays with an epic orchestra music. Force. Issei had transformed into his next armor, which was Force armor. "I am going to space!" Issei shouts, which causes the voice to reach all the way to the ends of the universe. "I am going to space!" Issei shouts, which causes the voice to reach all the way to the ends of the universe. He soon turns to the rest, which look in shock and concern since Issei transformed into a new armor, unaware of what he is going to do. Seeing this, Azazel had to contact their allies. Only a powerful sealing device can stop him for now, or so they think. In the meantime, Valerie was furious at this, since the armor was a direct mockery of her own armor, since it was white in color. She took a deep breath to compose herself, knowing that her anger would only defeat Issei, to which she demanded, "You are out of your league, surrender and accept that you have lost." Issei turned to her. He knew that Valerie was the most ruthless and prideful, so he intended to insult her pride before breaking it, speaking, "I literally took down a leader, coupled with taking down one entire peerage single-handedly. What makes you think I am going to accept? Then again, you barely could beat your old grandfather, and without my help, you would have been dead a long time ago." Valerie dashed forward in response, and tried to strike Issei multiple times with him blocking, but Issei punched her hard, breaking some of her armor. She tried to dodge but was struck due to For's speed and punching power. She was sent flying, revealing her angered look. She had underestimated Issei big time and was regretting it. Albion kept quiet. He knew that telling her was pointless since she just wouldn't listen in any manner. She hoped that Issei spared her life, so that he can take her away from this place, seeing her as a daughter. Issei soon saw the Citri Peerage. Kuroka and Lefei ambush him, with Issei using the thrusters to fly off, evading the attacks with ease. It felt like an actual rocket flying in the air. He decided to ram some of them, with Kuroka and Lefei being primary targets, as Kuroka managed to dodge using her teleportation ability with her speaking mockingly. Naya, you cannot beat me. Kuroka tried to use her flames, but Issei turns around and tries to grab her, but she keeps teleporting across the battlefield, annoying him. He decided to increase the speed to see if she can keep up. Soon he waited for the right time. He knew Lu Fei's skill set is in magic, so she would block his thrust charge instead of avoiding it. But he soon caught up to her, and landed a blow aimed at her stomach, making her vomit. Seeing this perfect opportunity, he did the same, immediately tackling Arthur and Biko first, causing them to drop their weapons immediately. This was Issei's intention, since Arthur can use Caliban to escape from them. He intended to take 4 of Vala's team members to space. He ambushed Lu Fei, who used a barrier to protect, but it shattered immediately. He placed them all in the same location, trying to make them recover, but Issei was not going to let them. Valerie and Fenrir tried to ambush, but it was too late. Issei repeated the same thing again, as an announcement soon happened. Finish time. 4s. Issei entered into his rocket form, and was ready to end this fight with ease. Fenrir rushed to save them, but it was something he would regret, since even he was taken along with them, and the 5 all headed to outer space in just a few moments. They could feel breathlessness as they traveled higher in the atmosphere, eventually seeing the planet itself, much to their shock and horror. They were unable to breathe and were being choked in the outer space. Issei had placed them in Earth's upper atmosphere. A final announcement being heard. Limit time break. Issei exclaims with happiness. Super rocket tailspin kick. He unleashes a corkscrew kick, with the lower half of the kick landing on them, as he sent them straight towards Earth's atmosphere, with them burning up alive due to being akin to meteors. In the meantime, what remains of the faction leaders, like Seraphal and Azazel, along with some others like Valerie, but before they could do anything, the meteors struck them, sending them all flying, as Issei in his Zeo4's armor landed beside the house. They managed to recover but were seriously damaged, with many glaring at Issei with anger. Valerie watched in horror. Arthur and Lu Fei were barely recognizable, horribly burned from the attack, passing out, and the others were critically injured. They were all crying in pain. It was a miracle that they even survived at this point. My team! Valerie shouted, as she turned to Issei in anger, demanding, "What did you do to them?" "I took them on an educational trip to outer space. They learned a lot, especially Kuroka and Biko, given that they are the smooth brainers." Valerie was furious by this. She soon decided to make the chant to outer space, but before she could do so, Issei brought out the Zekin guard and struck her multiple times in the chest, making her screech in pain. He kept the Zekin guard and used the booster modules and punched Valerie multiple as small shockwaves strike her, making her damage even more. He knew that the Citri peerage was still out there, since they were recovering from the meteor strike that had ambushed them, injuring several of their members. He brought out the next ride watch, and decided to end this. He knew that he has no choice but to make them suffer, since they will just keep annoying him. He knew that killing them will only paint a target behind his back. His pacifism held him back from actually attempting to kill them. The ride watch he brought this time was the Ghost Ride Watch. He turns it around in a similar manner with an announcement happening. "Ghost, before he transforms, quick!" Sona shouted to Saji in the hopes that she can stop his onslaught. But Issei was quicker. He removed the 4's ride watch and inserted it into the D slot, and rotated the driver. An announcement soon followed. "Armor time!" A projection of the ghost armor making an eye sign was presented, with the upbeat music being played, as the armor replaced the 4's armor with the ghost armor, with a final announcement being played. Kagen! Ghost! Issei had transformed into Zeo, ghost armor. Genshiro and the others tried to attack him, the girls with their magic and Saji using absorption line to attack him, only for an attack to pass through him. Genshiro and the others tried to attack him, the girls with their magic and Saji using absorption line to attack him, only for an attack to pass through him. Issei was intangible in his ghost armor, making him almost like a real ghost. Azazel was gritting his teeth in anger, alongside an injured Surzex who was annoyed by Issei's armor. He was getting frustrated by how many armors he has at this point. Valerie looked at Issei and decided to divide his power, only for it to not work. "What? How can this be?" Valerie shouted, to which Issei only spoke, "You do realize you cannot divide an intangible spirit, right? I am literally between the living and dead." Issei floated akin to a ghost and struck Valerie multiple times. She responded with firing her magic blasts at him only for the blasts to go through him. It was striking akin to a ghost, as Valerie knew she had to use Albion's poison to actually harm Issei. She was infuriated seeing on how strong Issei had become, as she started to unleash the poison that can even divide the souls, but Issei decided to not let her. He kept socking her multiple times, with the intention of breaking her armor multiple times. The Citri Peerage tried to assist, but Issei activated the Parka ghosts, distracting them and annoying them. He sent some to Surzex and the others, with them annoying them even more. Some even tried to harm them by ambushing, but magic doesn't do anything, since their bodies are intangible. Now then, since that is done, time to end this fight for good. Issei slashed Valerie multiple times, breaking what remained of her armor, while Albion failed to repair it with the Gone Gun's saber and kicked Valerie. To the Citri Peerage, she was groaning in pain and glaring at Issei with anger and hatred. Issei decided to end the battle as soon as possible. He needed to get back to assure that Gabriel and Reha are safe. He once again repeated the process for a finisher, as he pressed the ride on Ruzer and rotating the Zeku circular degrees. An announcement follows. Finish time. Ghost. The Parka ghosts join him, as Issei forms I symbol and performs a variation of Omega Drive. An announcement soon follows. Omega Time Break. His legs forms with orange flames produced by the Parka ghosts, as he unleashed a rider kick on them, triggering a massive explosion upon impact. They screamed in agony as Issei landed on the side, with the Parka ghost standing beside him. It's over, Issei spoke with a cold tone, seeing the Citri Peerage badly beaten with Valerie crying and groaning with pain. They had several bruises and bleeding wounds, and were burned alive from the attack. Sotan! Seraphal exclaimed with tears in her eyes, as Issei turned to them with Azazel glaring at him with anger, as he spoke, You won't get away with this. Do you want me to kill them, Azazel? Issei spoke with a cold tone, as he responded, 'Cause I will if the situation calls for it. Azazel remained silent out of fear and anger. He glared at Issei with anger and borderline hatred. Issei then spoke, If you value your daughter figure and students, run away and flee the scene while you still can. Consider this mercy, since the next time I see you in my place, there will be no mercy. Issei removed the ghost ride watch, which caused his armor to return to regular zeal in it. The survivors felt defeated, but before anything could happen, Issei was bound by several chains, as the attackers were revealed to be Odin, Amaterasu and Zeus, who were livid at what had happened with Issei struggling to escape. This has gone for long enough, Zeus demanded with anger, seeing the state of many individuals, to which he added, You shall no longer defy the will of the gods. I have been defying for a while. Keep crying like the man-child you are, Zeus. Zeus only got angry at this. But before he could do anything, a rain of light was unleashed on them, forcing them to defend themselves and those injured from the previous attacks. The attacker was revealed to be Gabriel. As she spoke, You are not harming my family, factions. Gabriel's wings grew brighter than ever, representing her archangel status. She was going to defend her husband and daughter at all costs. She knew that she had to defend her husband now that he was down. She knew her husband held back against them, since in Grand Zeo or even Zeo 2 would have been enough for them. Once the dust settled, it revealed them actually struggling, and they glared at Gabriel, who had her wings completely golden instead of her usual white, much to everyone's shock, as Gabriel prepared another storm of light spears aimed from above. What dash! Max exclaimed, trying to recover from the initial beat-down courtesy of Issei. The spears struck them again, as they screamed in fear, blocking the attack. Once the dust settled, Gabriel asked, You held back again, didn't you? Issei didn't meet her gaze, and she shook her head. She was aware that this nature of his pacifistic nature was a problem, and that was something that even Tsukasa and Sugo couldn't fix, but they believed that with time this would go away. It's all right, we both are fighting together this time. Issei turned to her and nodded, as he asked, And Reha? She is safe. The barriers should even keep a god class being away from the location. Creating it took me a while, but I guess despite your pacifism you did quite the number on them. Gabriel pointed towards the Vala team that was badly injured and the Citri Peerage, as Issei nodded. Max sneered, stepping forward. How touching. Gabriel, why don't you stop pretending and join me? You don't belong with this weakling. Gabriel's glare was icy. I'd rather die than stand with someone as vile as you, Max. And besides, he kicked your ass, remember? Max scowled in response, as Michael demanded, albeit his tone was weaker due to the damage Issei had inflicted when in his X8 armor. Why? Why betray us for this man? This damned disgrace to human life. Gabriel scowled at her, Michael speaking with anger. I choose this on my own. I am still an archangel and didn't betray my father. I oppose your will. That is why you are angered. You threatened to inflict harm on my family, and then you tried to kill my husband based on baseless accusations. It is surprising that you haven't fallen yet like that, Azazel, Gabriel declared, her wings shining brightly, showing no signs of falling, as Michael could only remain seething in anger at this. Serzex then declared, then you give us no choice. Serzex entered his true form, and ambushed them, firing a powerful power of destruction, destroying the barrier surrounding the whole house, with Gabriel rushing to protect her daughter. But it was too late. The whole barrier that Gabriel had worked so hard to make was gone. No! Issei and Gabriel shouted. The house they worked so hard on was gone. Serzex managed to return back to normal, as they all saw a small child that was resting and crying. So you have a child, a baby girl, eh? Max spoke with an evil glint, as Issei shouted, you leave them alone. Oh, I am afraid not. She will be quite useful to me. Issei gritted his teeth in anger. His struggling of chains was increasing even more, making Zeus and Odin struggle to maintain them. The others fired attacks on Gabriel, as she used her body to defend her daughter, making her scream in pain, as Issei could only watch. Serzex watched this with a smile. He was happy that he was suffering. Guess we have to take her by force. Serzex spoke with a smile, as he watched Issei's struggle with a happier tone, walking towards Gabriel with Issei shouting, no! Leave them alone. Oh, worry not, brother, your daughter will be a new member of my harem. Issei glared angrily at Max, with him smirking, knowing that Issei will never be happy. Stay away from me! Gabriel exclaimed with anger, as the remaining leaders were approaching her. With her using a light magic to defend herself, she was able to push them away for a moment, surprised by how strong she is, but Serzex used his power of destruction to subdue her, making her screech in pain. The leaders then used their magic to keep her in chains, as Gabriel responded, I'll never become yours. Then I'll force you to become mine, Max retorted with anger, as he used magic to attack them, but the attack misfired due to Gabriel's deflection and went after Reha, with both parents looking in horror at this. Gabriel managed to break free and exclaim with tears in her eyes, No! 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 Not my little girl! She started shaking Reha, who was unresponsive. She was not breathing due to Max's attack. Gabriel feared her death. Issei could only look in horror. His pacifism was the reason this happened. His daughter was unresponsive. Whether she was alive needed to be checked. He hated this. He hated that the only people that he cared for had to suffer due to this. He saw Gabriel's despair-ridden. Seeing his daughter's state finally snaps in him. He was always treated with anger and contempt by everyone, which was why he left, but no more. If they are not going to let him live in peace, he was certainly not going to let them have peace till they leave him alone. He screamed in anger, the chains breaking as the ground shakes violently, much to everyone's surprise. This makes everyone back away, a circle surrounding where Issei was, soon forming the Zeo circle but golden. Lava spreading everywhere. The parallel Ratrapandi turning up akin to a clock. Gabriel looked at Issei while cradling her unresponsive daughter with shock and horror, recognizing what the power is, the power of Oma Zeo. And no, she didn't want to lose her husband too. She had already lost their daughter, and now her husband was going to succumb as well. She remembered Tsukasa's warning of Issei being a ticking time bomb, and now that bomb is going to explode. Everyone get away now! Azazel commanded. As they got some distance from him, many refused to understand on how Issei became strong. Especially those that detested him. A gold version of the ZQ driver formed on his chest, replacing the original. Henshin! Issei shouted with anger, as he pushes in the Oma creator and Oma destrucer in anger. Shikufuku no Toki! Psycho! Sai Zen! Sai-Dai! Psycho! Oh! Oma Zeo! The armor changed, as golden bands begin to swirl around them as the katakana flies out of the clock, which merges with the user, as the rocks and lava form the suit, the katakana forming onto the user, and completing the transformation. A/N. I don't own this GIF or Kamen Rider Zio. Issei had transformed into Kamen Rider Oma Zio, and he was going to make them all pay for attacking him and his family. The strongest and true Demon King had arrived to deal with the factions as well as the false Demon King. Issei didn't say anything, with Max taunting him. Is that it? That fake transformation, you really think you can protect your family from me? Issei didn't say anything, with Max taunting him. Is that it? That fake transformation, you really think you can protect your family from me? I will take your wife, then I will reincarnate your daughter as my slave. She will soon be my slave as well. Issei once again didn't respond, but he was really furious at this. He was going to make an example of one of the leaders. That leader is going to die tonight. What, your mouth is stopped? How pathetic! You were always pathetic! Rias exclaimed. The fact that she had opened her mouth really infuriated him even more. It felt like an annoyed and spoiled brat mocking him at this point. Her tone having nothing but borderline arrogance. Come and try then, you worthless waste of space and air. Let's see if I let you pass me. I dare you to lay a finger on them. Issei commanded in response. He was going to make them regret ever coming here. He was going to inflict so much pain on them that they will remember this for the rest of their miserable existence. Gladly. Max exclaimed with happiness. Max charged at him. As he tried to kill him in his balance breaker, he tried to kill him only for Issei to kick him and send him flying, triggering an explosion. He had lost his armor instantly and fell to the ground almost half dead. He had coughed up in response. Max! Mia shouted, as she used her chaos flames, but Issei brought out the Kiva ride watch, and turns it, tapping it, with an announcement happening. Kiva! He played the bloody rose that was formed after it, summoning a barrage of bats that had started to bite onto Mia, making her screech in pain. Tiamat not intending to heal her armor, as Mia demanded. Tiamat, heal my armor please. Don't expect any help from me. Not after your actions killed their child. I wish I had your brother as my host instead of you. Tiamat coldly spoke to her host's mind, as she screamed in agony and fell to the ground. She lost her armor, and was bleeding in several locations. Pathetic, is this what your pillar is capable of? The best of the Hayato clan has fallen, now what will you do? The leaders were furious at this, as Odin called out Gungnir and charged at him with the intention of striking him down. He charged at him with Amaterasu joining in with her sword Kusanagi, which was burning with the power of sun. Take this! Odin exclaimed with anger, with both of them charging to slay him. Issei didn't move from his location or do anything. They were confident that they could beat him. Issei only brought out the Ryuki ride watch and turned it on, with an announcement following. Ryuki! Flames were unleashed upon them, as a Chinese dragon struck the two, making them scream in pain, causing them to back away. This entity was the Draig Reader, which decided to make the wounds each blow was struck with a severe, with the Draig Reader chomping on them multiple times, making them scream in agony. This entity was the Draig Reader, which decided to make the wounds each blow was struck with a severe, with the Draig Reader chomping on them multiple times, making them scream in agony. The Draig Reader landed beside Issei, as he commanded the Draig Reader to attack them again, not making them recover, as the Draig Reader kept striking them faster than they could ever notice. Odin tried to block the attack, but the Draig Reader just moved gracefully around, turning and striking them even when he dodged. He struck him, eventually making him scream in pain. Amaterasu struck the beast, but her sword didn't do anything with her, exclaiming, Impossible! What is this damned lizard made out of? The Draig Reader only roared, as it struck her multiple times, breaking several of her bones from every swing. As Issei decided to let the Draig Reader make quick work of them, he turned his attention to Zeus, who was looking at him with anger. He only spoke. Come! Thundercock of Olympus! Issei called out, his tone having a tinge of contempt and mockery. Zeus charged at him with anger and fury, ready to kill him. He made a war cry, as he spoke. I will kill you! The one that defies the divine order. Issei only waited for him to get closer, and with a precise positioning, he placed his leg behind and waited for him to reach the distance, his leg glowing with powerful gold energy near the timed catastrophe leg. Before Zeus could even land a hit, Issei landed a fatal kick aimed at Zeus's chest, making him widen his eyes in shock and cough up. He was soon sent flying and exploded upon impact, much to everyone's shock. Zeus fell to the ground, groaning in pain. He was bleeding, bruised, and had many of his bones broken. Issei soon decided to walk, and keep his leg on his chest, making him groan in pain. Zeus had a look of fear, with him begging. "And no, please spare me," Issei scoffed at the pathetic attempt of this. He could see Zeus crying with fear and terror. Like the pathetic coward that he is, he knew that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. He is like his father Kronos and grandfather Uranus, both of whom met terrible fates in the end. "Spare you? Did you show any consideration when you attacked me to get Gabriel for your pillar? Acting like a bunch of dogs. I have one word for you to say: survive." Zeus felt even more terror. He tried to escape from the location using a teleportation skill, but Issei was not going to let that happen. Issei lifted his leg and stomped it with the golden energy he used earlier, making Zeus scream in agony. The others watched with fear, seeing on how Issei was effortlessly bashing literal gods like it was nothing. Max managed to get up. He was coughing up blood in response, and watching with anger and hatred. He hated on what was happening. When the dust settled, it revealed Zeus, who had passed out, having a look of horror. His eyes were open and looked at the ground in terror. He was barely alive, as Issei kicked him towards the factions. The Draig reader joined him, as he roared. He had tortured Odin and Amaterasu to the point of suffering, with several bones broken. They had passed out, and were groaning in pain. Issei walked towards Max, but Serzex and Seraphal, along with Azazel, the only ones standing, as Graphia stayed behind to help and recover Rias. She was still recovering a bit. Serzex and Seraphal combined their magic, creating a massive sphere of crimson and ice. Absolute convergence! They shouted, hurling the attack at Issei. Azazel did the same as well, with him throwing a barrage of spears. The blast engulfed him, shaking the battlefield with its immense power. For a moment, there was silence, and the attackers held their breath. "We did it! We defeated him!" Max exclaimed, as he continued with happiness. "We defeated him!" But before they could celebrate, the Draig reader rushed outside of the dust and chomped on Azazel, as he decided to deal with the fallen angel. The Draig reader kept chomping on him, breaking every single bone, crushing it underneath its teeth and causing bleeding in Azazel's body, making him screech in pain. "Impossible!" Max shouted, with other survivors looking at him with fear, as Issei came out of the dust unscathed, with him speaking mockingly. "Is that all you got? Shouldn't have expected from the false demon king." Serzex and Graphia were furious at this, along with Rias. Issei was at this point mocking them for their powers and helplessness. They wanted to make him pay, but were feeling downright fear on confronting him head-on. Seraphal was gritting her teeth and helpless. They cursed their situation and of not bringing enough healers to fight against them. Issei soon spoke with a cold tone. "Time to end your miserable existence for good." Issei wanted to end this fight and protect Gabriel, and possibly use his power to save Reha. He tapped the belt in anger and channels energy in his entire body before rising into the air as a series of gold kick characters appear and circle the enemy. An announcement following. "Shun no Toki! Oma Zio Hisatsugeki! Brother, wait!" Max screamed with fear, afraid of what is going to happen next. Serzex and the others tried to teleport using a magic circle to escape, but Issei doesn't let that happen. He used his power to freeze them in time. Issei then performs a powerful rider kick with the Apocalypse of Kingdom acting as wings. Upon striking the enemy, the characters combine with Zio's foot and strengthen the attack to the point where he destroys the enemy. Upon striking the enemy, the characters combine with Zio's foot and strengthen the attack to the point where he destroys the enemy. A massive explosion was triggered, sending them flying to the ground, with many having their bones broken and their bodies completely charred. Rias coughed blood, her crimson hair matted and dirty. Serzex lay motionless nearby, his once proud form now broken. Even Michael, the mighty archangel, could barely lift his head from the ground. Graphia was battered and bruised, her clothes torn, and was barely awake from the blow, and Seraphal was barely recognizable due to being the closest from the attack. She had several concussions and brutal blows on her entire body. Azazel was badly beaten up by the Draig reader, with having several bleeding wounds, with his bones being broken. Several of his wings were chomped up, as the Draig reader returned back to his own time. The attack also unleashed a powerful shockwave, destroying the armies of ultimate-class devils, and sending them flying to the ground. Issei landed on the ground, seemingly satisfied with the carnage he has left behind. But he was not done yet. He walked towards Surzek's Lucifer, wanting to put him in his place for enabling Max to get even till here. He walked to him, and grabbed the weakened Lucifer by the throat. He was struggling to even land a hit on him. He tried to use his power of destruction but failed to do it. Now then, I will start by ending your life. Goodbye, false demon king, Surzek's Lucifer. No, my mistake, Surzek's Gremory. Issei was deathly calm, as he could only look at Issei as Omazeo in complete fear. He then brought out disintegration energy that Omazeo had specialized in. Issei's intention was to show what happens when they cross certain lines, teach them a lesson no devil or supernatural being would forget. He soon threw him in the air, and unleashed disintegration on him, intending to erase from time, space, and this very reality itself. And Monster Surzek mouthed the words, seeing his end to come. He didn't want to die. He feared the prospect of death, his end by the hands of someone that he looked down on, as nothing but a mere stain on this world. He regretted not killing him before, but now, he had nothing but fear in his mind. He fired the disintegration blast aimed at him, which made him screech in pain and agony upon being wiped out. Issei wiped him out without any mercy. As Surzek felt his whole body being erased, he tried to defend himself, and when it didn't work, he tried to escape. But even that didn't work. All he could do was scream in agony at being erased from the very existence itself, as he soon exploded, leaving nothing behind. His whole body was wiped out from existence itself. Surzek-sama. Grafia and Rias shouted, the former passing out on seeing her husband's demise right in front of him. She had almost lost him once against Trihexa when he suggested to go into the isolation barrier, but was stopped seemingly by Max. Rias was weeping in sheer agony upon seeing her brother's demise right in front of them, and good riddance. Issei spoke coldly, as when the dust settled, there was nothing left of him. Issei stood by watching the reactions, ranging from passing out, and even despair and sadness. But all had fear in their eyes, knowing what Issei will do next. But before anything could happen, Gabriel called out, Issei. He turned to see Gabriel having tears in her eyes, speaking, she's breathing, but needs help. She had a slight smile on her face, relieved that her daughter didn't die. She had used all of her power to keep her alive, using any healing spells that she had to do so. Issei nodded, returning to the beaten-up faction leaders and their armies, making his final message. Let this be a message, you harmed my little girl and there is no forgiveness for that. I will never forgive or forget what has happened here. Keep one thing in mind. Issei decided to bring out the Aurora curtains. As he forcefully sent them back to the underworld, he then spoke the words, run and survive, whoever is remaining alive. Keep surviving, because now my intention has changed. I will fight in order to live in peace, and if it means you end up dying, that is no longer going to be my problem. Issei's declaration sent shivers to the spines of all those that are still conscious as he closed the Aurora curtain and sent them back. He looked at them with one last look, before he turned to Gabriel and Reha. He had to set things right. Scene change. Serafal Memorial Hospital, Underworld PM. Chaos reigned in the underworld, seeing so many powerful figures and other leaders in their badly beaten states. They were all seen in stretchers and other medical devices just to keep them alive. This is madness. Ajuka spoke with fear, as his usual calm demeanor replaced with a tension-filled one. He couldn't see Surzek at all with them. Beside him, Yasaka's tails swished anxiously as they watched the medical team's work. Their injuries, Yasaka murmured, I've never seen anything like this. The energy signature is completely foreign. Hours passed before the first of them regained consciousness. Max, his body wrapped in magical bandages that glowed with healing energy, was the first to open his eyes. Ajuka approached his bedside, his expression grave. What happened out there? Who did this? Max's laugh was bitter, ending in a painful cough. My brother happened. Issei's not the same anymore. After what happened to Gabriel and... Gabriel, is she all right? Yasaka asked with fear, not having an ounce of care after what he had done to her daughter and tried to do with her. She is fine. Azazel spoke up, anger in his eyes, remembering what had happened. He watched Surzek being killed by Issei without any mercy. But there was fear and despair as well, with Yasaka speaking to him. Then what happened? It was their daughter. She was killed by my attack. It wasn't my intention, but it misfired and went to her. The two went horrified by this, as they looked in terror upon realizing this, with soon another person waking up. As they turned to see, it was revealed to be Graphia. Graphia, what else happened? Graphia could only respond by crying tears of despair. She remembered what Issei had done to her husband. Seraphal then spoke with tears. It was that monster. He had killed Surzex without any mercy or care. Seraphal had spoken, as the tears increased even more, with Rias weeping and wailing in complete agony. They were completely despair-ridden at this. Ajuka then spoke. How can this be? How can someone like him kill Surzex? Ajuka exclaimed in shock and despair. The fact that Issei managing to kill Surzex was next to impossible. As Azazel spoke. We underestimated him, Azazel said weakly. We thought we could handle one human with some training. But what he became. He closed his eyes, remembering the overwhelming pressure of Issei's transformed state to Omazeo. He declared war on all of us. On the entire supernatural world. Ajuka's frown deepened. One man against every supernatural faction? That's suicide. You weren't there. Michael's voice came from nearby, the Archangel's wings noticeably dimmer than usual. You didn't feel what we felt. That power, it wasn't just strength. It was like the universe itself had given him permission to be our executioner. The same man that had mercilessly killed Surzex. We couldn't fight him. Even in his base form, he held back, till Max Gun's attack struck their daughter. Michael spoke with fear and sadness. The fact that an innocent was taken down was terrifying, and what followed next made the Archangel even more terrified at this prospect. It pained his heart, but once he gets healed up, he would have to make Gabriel a fallen angel. Same goes for Reiha in case she survives, since he would use the system to do so. They had a daughter, then this means we have to. Yasaka spoke in response, to which Ajuka responded, No! Issei has declared war on us. We prepare for what comes next. We need to destroy him, before he kills anyone else. Ajuka declared in response, with anger in his eyes. He will avenge Surzex in the end, no matter what happens. Scene change. Issei's house, Los Angeles, United States of America, AM. Issei walked towards Gabriel and Reiha. As she turned to him with tears in her eyes, Issei only raised his hand and focused on Reiha in the house, with her asking with slight fear, her cheeks tear-stained, What are you doing? Reversing time to a few hours before, and stabilizing her body vitals. Give me a few seconds. Gabriel could only nod. She noticed this man was her demon lord, her husband and king. To her, Issei and Reiha were her whole world, and Issei also saw the same. She watched him reverse time, but keeping the healing that Gabriel had placed. Once it was done, Gabriel could feel Reiha return to normal. Her breathing returned, and the baby girl slowly opened her eyes. Issei's Omazeo armor fell apart, and he returned to normal. Reiha, please. The baby girl woke up. She looked at her parents having tears in their eyes. She muttered something with a low tone. Papa? The two cried even more, having a happier smile on their faces with Gabriel speaking. I see. She spoke her first words. Why, yeah, they both were crying, as Gabriel lifted their daughter and hugged her with Issei joining her, as they held her tightly. They were relieved that she was alive and well, as the couple went inside to their newly rebuilt house. They were happy that their daughter was alive and well, and they could finally rest for the day. However, deep down, they knew the battle for their peace was only beginning, and this battle is the one they will win. Thanks for watching this video. You really enjoy this video. Like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification. Don't forget to support and follow RageRevan for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story, link in the description. See you in the next video. Goodbye.